Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Greenprint Registry Showcase, where we cover ESGpedia use cases for the real economy. We're thrilled to have everyone join us in person or virtually to witness how ESGpedia is already in place today and empowering multiple sectors across Asia towards sustainability and net zero. I'm Yvette, Business Development Manager at STACS, and I'll be your MC for today. Before we begin, we'd like to express our sincerest thanks to guest speaker, Mr. Lionel Wong, head of the Green FinTech Office at the Monetary Authority of Singapore, for gracing our event today. We'd also like to extend our gratitude to our partners who will be speaking today and sharing more on our collaborations in the various sectors. We'd also like to thank our official event partners, PwC Singapore and Singapore FinTech Association, for jointly organizing today's event. Last but not least, we thank you all for joining us for the Greenprint Registry Showcase. Here at PwC Singapore today, we have 100 in-person attendees and 250 attendees tuning in virtually. The audience represents a wide mix of financial institutions, corporates, and NGOs. Thank you everyone for being with us today. We are in an era where climate action is rapidly gaining traction across all sectors of society. At the foundation of such movements, there needs to be robust ESG data to enable performance tracking and informed decision-making. ESGpedia is well positioned as a one-stop ESG data registry with complementary functionalities to enable better ESG data, supplier sustainability monitoring, and sustainable finance. We look forward to bringing MAS Project Greenprint and ESGpedia to greater heights. I'm extremely pleased to now invite on stage Mr. Benjamin So, co-founder and managing director at STACS. STACS is a Singapore-headquartered fintech company focused on ESG fintech in partnership with the MAS Project Greenprint. Ben will be providing an overview of ESGpedia's progress within MAS Project Greenprint. Ben, please take it away.
I'm quite looking forward, to the FinTech Festival. Okay, I'm definitely going to be there. Okay, many of us will be there. I'm looking forward to the announcements. Okay, so welcome everyone. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for coming to the event. Firstly, I'd like to thank all of you for taking the time. Okay, I know there's many competing activities this week at the FinTech Festival. Okay, so I'm very grateful that all of you made it here. And secondly, I'd also like to thank PwC Singapore. Okay, so for hosting this event kindly, to be having this session here, and also for providing all the facilities. Okay, and you saw the coffee and tea. And if you stay a bit longer, we're going to have some wine later. I'll be your bartender if you stay. Okay, so, and many thanks to the PwC Singapore team. Okay, and of course, okay, again, it's a great pleasure to be here. The last time that we had a public showcase was actually in May. Yeah, and I recognize many of you who were also at the May event, okay, where we launched ESGpedia, for the first time. Okay, so it has been 6 months. It's been 6 months since then, and today's, topic or presentation is about, use cases for the real economy, which means what? Which means that we have already went from a concept to a context, okay, which is something that I'm very, very happy about, because when we talk about climate, okay, many people use the word climate action. Right, so it's really time to take some action, okay, and it's really encouraging that we have been able to, take these actions toward accomplishing so many different use cases as of today, right? But of course, we didn't do it alone. We had a lot of support from the MAS Green FinTech Office. We had a lot of support from all the partners from the industry today, and you'll be hearing from them later today, right? So let me go into the presentation, okay? So, firstly, as we got onto the journey of trying to provide a solution, for net zero, we realized that different companies have different needs. Firstly, the SMEs, as mentioned by Lionel just now, they're just trying to get on board sustainability. They need something simpler. They need a digital platform, okay, and they need to be able to get into sustainability disclosure in the easiest way that will allow themselves to be visible to their client. Okay, and their clients could be the large companies. The large companies will therefore need the data to be able to help establish supplier incentive programs with a positive agenda to drive change. And typically, they partner with financial institutions who will provide, ESG financing, supply chain financing programs, or in general, a decarbonization pathway of their own portfolio. So with that background in mind, having to solve the different needs, support the different needs of different entities, we set out on a pathway, where we wanted to provide a holistic pathway to net zero. Firstly, we have a platform, ESGpedia, which is the ESG registry, where we aggregate different types of diverse data sources to create actionable insights and tools where industry and financial sector could now target decarbonization and mobilize capital. Now, no matter what we do, there's still going to be some residual emissions, especially in the next decade. So that's where we also added an additional service called Carbon Pal, where we partner with many pals, many partners, to be able to provide a holistic end-to-end traceability solution for carbon credits to improve the quality of traceability, and enhance, the journey towards net zero. So ESGpedia operates like this. The first key core functionality of ESGpedia is harmonization. We aggregate many different types of data sources into ESGpedia. For example, certificates. We aggregate many different types of certificates. As many as 16 registries are aggregated on our platform now today. Besides that, ESG scores, like CDP scores, are already on our platform. Sustainability reports, we are able to extract public sustainability reports to extract the E and S and G data. Corporate disclosures, where we partner with various platforms to be able to retrieve corporate disclosures directly from the corporates. And of course, ongoing data. We have a universe of partnering tech enablers who are able to provide ongoing data, and these are typically satellite AI, IoT AI, or drone AI companies. So with all of these different data sources, we then harmonize this data into a single company profile. So as a single company profile, it's kind of like, we are ESGpedia. It's kind of like Wikipedia. So some of you might be famous enough to have your own Wikipedia page. You did. Similarly, we created a ESGpedia page. So everything that you have ever done in relation to ESG is now in one page, one profile, that will therefore allow you to be able to be visible to various use cases, which includes actionable tools where we provide a portfolio monitoring tool where large companies or financial institutions can now monitor their portfolio or their number of suppliers and get notified whenever there's a change in their ESG data. And secondly, a consent mechanism. Everything that we do is under a data consent management. Because some data is public, we keep it public. We aggregate them, but we keep it public. Some data is proprietary. Example, a company's electricity consumption, water consumption. Typically, these are kept private. We keep it behind a data consent mechanism, whereby you are able to share the data with whoever you want to share it with, typically your investor, your client, or your bank. So these are the ways that we see ESGpedia helping to promote sustainability and mobilization of capital towards these projects. So on top of that, as mentioned, we also have a service called Carbon Pal. It's a digital service where we have, leveraging on the work that we aggregated the various carbon credit registries into one platform. And we therefore further on provide a accurate carbon footprint assessment of individual products, in partnership with our strategic partners. We also provide an end-to-end traceability solution to take care of the traceability of transactions from origination to retirement. So all of this will aim at providing end-to-end transparency of the carbon credit, carbon offsetting life cycle. We'll be having a deeper dive of this actually tomorrow for carbon. So as of now, our ecosystem is expanding rapidly. As mentioned, we'll be fortunate enough to partner with so many organizations, particularly with the MAS Project Greenprint team. And we are now able to support many different industry sectors, as you can see on the screen. We have many different use cases like supplier sustainability monitoring, financial portfolio monitoring, sustainability-linked financial products, and end-to-end carbon credits. And our partners include financial institutions and non-FI. So I guess now it's time to look at the platform. So we have prepared a video, 3-minute video, to actually show you how the platform works, and how it looks like today. Thank you. Yeah. So, from the video, we actually saw how the platform can aggregate and harmonize many different types of data sources, including primary data. So that actually lets me think that that's one of the key, differentiating advantage that we have. I would like to say that, we have transparency driven by differentiated technology. I always like to joke that this work is dirty work, so to speak, right? We are doing a lot of this aggregation, plumbing, etc. And not many companies are able or interested to do it. Okay, so let us do it. We are able to aggregate all of this data, okay, and work with industry-recognized partners. We are partnering with leading entities, globally recognized bodies, and industry leaders, where we are able to co-develop use cases. And in the process of co-development, able to understand the pain points and therefore meet the diverse needs of different sectors, different registries, different industries, and different personas from small companies to large. So that has allowed us to complete certain use cases, okay, of which we will go through them one by one shortly in the following slides. Okay, so we have been able to support many use cases with the partnership of many of the companies that are seated here today, and we're always very thankful for that. So here are some of the case studies. Firstly, in the area of sustainability-linked financial products, okay, we are now able to cover a variety of industry sectors, including transport and logistics, buildings which include hotels and data centers. Okay, and that is where we are able to support many different types of companies to provide their corporate profile, create a corporate profile on ESGpedia, where we aggregate their data. Okay, so firstly, certifications in these sectors would include BCA, LEED, BREEAM, SGBC, SEC, okay, and the various types of certificates that would be required under their sector. Okay, we also aggregate disclosures like CDP and ERQ, and also ongoing data, where we partner with tech enablers to be able to capture, electricity consumption, water consumption, and GHG emissions numbers. All right, so all of this data aggregated in a single platform is reference for the financial institution to manage, financial products, financial services products. Where, for example, if you look at the list over here, we have already been able to support use cases where, for example, Envision Digital supports many different projects, including Citadines Bali. Okay, Evercom supporting Pontiac Land Group hotels, and also CO2X supporting a transport fleet EV5, and also with Singlife partnering for green motor insurance. Okay, and also Red Dot Analytics with data centers. Right, so this has already allowed many of these companies involved to capture significant benefits from having these data insights, where they are now able to look at where they can decarbonize strategically, and also allow the financial sector, to be able to disperse and manage the financial products with the use of technology. So later today, you'll be hearing from Ms. Bailing from Envision Digital, okay, and also Sheena from CO2X, and Ted from Evercom will be up tomorrow. So in the area of green trade finance, we have supported industries' coverage of rubber, palm oil, cotton, and construction materials. Okay, and this is where we aggregated other types of industry certifications. For example, in agriculture, it would be ISCC, RSPO, okay, and for example, for building materials, it could be SGBC, SEC again, okay, and that's where, okay, we aggregate all these different types of certifications and also ongoing disclosures like GPSNR for rubber, okay, and CDP, okay, for the agricultural supply chain. And also, we capture ongoing data from these tech partners who are able to provide data about the social matrices and labor data, okay, and accumulated on the platform, aggregated on the platform, allows for tracking by the financial sector for trade finance. So we have managed to support SG TradeX in their 2 live transactions so far with DBS and OCBC, okay, and also Agridance, formerly known as Hevia Connect, okay, will be presenting a case study that they've done with Citi and DBS, and GreenON, okay, who will be also presenting about how they can enhance agricultural supply chain data for financial sector use cases. So this enhances the scope 3 visibility of the end-to-end agricultural supply chain, and also enhances the financial institution's ability to manage this green trade finance. So we'll be hearing from Daniel later on about GreenON, and Gerald from Agridance tomorrow. Okay, our next use case is supplier sustainability monitoring. So the supply chain is a long and complex supply chain with many number of companies. So we have already been able to have this data, again, aggregated data accumulated, harmonized into our platform, where with our portfolio monitoring tool, okay, large companies can now track their supply chain, okay, whereby, okay, they are now able to therefore positively impact, okay, their suppliers. Okay, instead of adverse screening, which is typically the case for ESG today, now they are able to do positive screening and reward their suppliers with supplier incentive programs and partner with the financial sector for financing. Ultimately, this is meant to help supply chains remain resilient and competitive, particularly as we are selling to foreign buyers who might have ESG requirements. So we have been happy to partner with the Singapore Fashion Council and Maxion, okay, on supplier sustainability monitoring use cases. And also we have a friend, Spark, who is actually the first fintech company that I know that have also achieved a low carbon disclosure certificate, okay, and that will allow them to be able to support their reporting to their customers. So you'll be hearing from Singapore Fashion Council and Maxion tomorrow. Okay. In bond portfolio monitoring, this is where we see the opportunity for many investment managers or investors in general, typically. They invest in green bonds or sustainability-linked bonds, okay, where they have a financial portfolio. And this financial portfolio requires them, okay, to ensure that their portfolio is up to a certain sustainability standard. So what we have done is that we have, again, aggregated all of this data in the platform to allow investment managers to now use this data and get notified whenever there is any risk. Okay, and that is something that will allow them, okay, through our portfolio monitoring tool, to be able to allow them to enhance visibility of their portfolio, okay, enhance their risk management, and importantly, drive greater stewardship engagement. Again, it's all about being positive here. Instead of cutting them out, but also to look at them and see how a fund manager could help them become better. So we're very happy that we're partnered with the first use case here, key partner, Manulife Investment Management, okay, where they are able to already complete the pilot with us, okay, on this portfolio tracking. So Eric from Manulife will be presenting shortly. Okay, we have also partnered with Pentas to be able to complete some case studies on AI analytics of some of the data on our platform for the financial institution. Finally, okay, we have a carbon credits use case where, carbon credit sector would also benefit from greater transparency and aggregation. There are multiple registries out there that are fragmented. Okay, we have already aggregated the data from different registries, from different transactions, okay, into one single portfolio profile on our platform. So on top of that, we couple that with our Carbon Pal service for accurate carbon footprint, okay, and also a fractional end-to-end traceability solution, so that this solution is now embedded in e-commerce and payment gateway. Okay, so that has allowed us to be able to bring benefits to the millions of merchants and consumers that currently our partner payment gateway and e-commerce platform supports. So this is a major launch that will be launching next week at COP27. Do look out for it on next Tuesday. It is a global consumer brand. It is a brand that I'm sure everyone here knows. It is a brand that produces, products that you and I use on a daily basis. And we are quite happy that it will be launched, unveiled next Tuesday. Okay. So, we've done quite a lot. Okay, these are all, as I said in the beginning, action points that we have taken. Okay, but there's still some work left to do. What's next is that early next year, okay, from January, we aim to be able to scale up to the ASEAN region. Okay, we want to also launch additional services based on corporate and SME disclosures, okay, with global standards, and also expand our international carbon credit services to enhance interoperability, for carbon credits in different countries. This is all part of alignment with Article 6 of the United Nations. Okay, and finally, this is the team that built the platform with love. Whatever that I showed you today is actually built by a real team of human beings. Okay, and you can see their fingerprints all over our platform. Okay, so our team is committed to the vision, but of course we couldn't have done it without your support. So we hope to continuously be able to partner with everyone here, okay, to drive towards building a greener and sustainable legacy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ben, for that exciting update on ESGpedia. And I really like that title in your presentation, By the Industry, for the Industry. And coming from the business development team myself at STACS, I think I speak for my team when I say that we do love working with our industry partners to co-develop ESGpedia solutions that best suit our partners. And that's really the value add on the top of our minds whenever we engage in these collaborations. Moving on, I will now like to invite Mr. Eric Nietsch, Head of ESG Asia at Manulife Investment Management. He will be giving us an introduction of Manulife Investment Management, and he will also speak about ESGpedia's application in investment bond portfolio monitoring. Mr. Nietsch, please.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here today and to share this case study that we've worked on for the past few months. So first, I guess, just as a bit of background, my name's Eric Nietsch. I lead the sustainable investing team for Manulife Investment Management in Asia. So you might be familiar with the insurance company, Manulife. I work on the investment management side. So investing in our public markets, bond and equity portfolios on behalf of Manulife, the insurance company, but also other clients. So it could be other insurance companies, endowments. Many of you may be invested in our strategies through the CPF. And Manulife, as a firm, manages about $1 trillion. And in Asia, we have quite a strong presence across 10 different markets in the region. So I work with our investment teams on the ESG integration throughout all of our portfolios in those locations, both the local currency single market portfolios, as well as the US dollar regional and global strategies. Manulife is, as a company, has been working and committed to sustainability for a number of years. Manulife is one of the largest owners of forests in the world, actually, largely through our heritage as a Canadian company, as well as a manager of a lot of farmland, both in the US as well as in the rest of the world, all of which is managed to very high levels of sustainability. In our investment portfolios, we look to fully consider ESG issues throughout the investment process. That starts with the data that we subscribe to and pull into our decision making. And so looking at platforms like STACS, thinking about how that influences valuations as well as the types of companies that we choose to invest in. But then we know that we need to go further. And so as active managers, primarily of long-only strategies, we don't have very many ETF products or passive products. We believe that the investment process has to continue past the decision to buy or sell. And so we'll work with the companies that we invest in to try and share the sustainability research that we've done and encourage them to address any risks and take advantage of opportunities. And there's a lot that we can do in our portfolios, but it's also really important that we recognize that we can't solve any of these big issues by ourselves. We need to come together as an industry. We need to work with other investors, academic institutions, the data providers, and companies like STACS in order to advance not just what we're doing in our portfolios, but in the industry as a whole. And so there's I'll talk just a little bit more about some of the methodologies that we apply to do this in our portfolios. So ESG integration is the consideration of the ESG issues, their valuation, and making sure that we're reflecting the proper risks and opportunities in our portfolios. In our sustainable strategies, we do believe it's also important to sometimes avoid certain activities. So that's the negative screening that Benjamin talked about, and making sure that we're not participating in those in our sustainable funds. But then we also want to make sure that we're including the positive screening. So actively identifying the companies that are performing really well on ESG issues, are contributing to the solutions and the changes that need to happen. And for fixed income strategies, we actually don't believe that a sustainable portfolio has to be only a green bond portfolio. We want to look at the entire market and the best opportunities and the best companies and bring that into the process more holistically. Now, that said, these can be very effective instruments for capturing impact and delivering that for our clients and achieving some of these outcomes that we're looking to in these portfolios. And so we do tend to overweight these kinds of instruments. But it's not always that easy, because what we're really looking to do with this is overweight the green and social bonds and sustainability bonds, sustainability-linked bonds, blue bonds, orange bonds, all of these hopefully growing kind of list of instruments, as long as they're credible. And that is actually can be quite difficult. So luckily we have primarily an actively managed, fundamentally driven research process, and we're able to form our own view on which of these instruments are credible, and try to provide feedback on those that might not be, or work with the companies and the issuers to make sure that this marketplace is being built with credibility and integrity. But I'll come back to this, because this is primarily what we worked on in this case study. The other pieces, just to kind of finish off the strategies that we can apply, are engagement, like we talked about. So after we choose to invest, continuing to work with those companies. And then what's shown here is positive impact, which is really about making sure that we're measuring the outcomes. So if all of these kind of strategies are working correctly, then measuring that making sure that we have metrics to show that the objectives of the fund are being met by the outcomes of the portfolios. So what we've done with STACS and with this case study was try to just focus in. We were able to look at the entire portfolio, a sample portfolio that we worked on together. But beyond the entire portfolio, we were able to focus in on the green bonds specifically from the real estate sector. And so with that, we were able to focus on doing ongoing due diligence and monitoring of the green bonds that we had deemed as credible. So to follow up on a further assessment for making sure that those were really credible. And that's why it's important that STACS is pulling together data and information that's verified and credible, and as bringing in certifications from third parties to really support that due diligence. And so this shows just a couple examples of how we were able to do that in more detail. We were able to, especially relevant to the real estate assets underlying the green bonds from real estate companies, we were able to look at the green bond certifications at an asset level detail. And that provides a greater level of detail than we usually get from the data providers. So a lot of times the ESG data that we will get from companies will be at the issuer level, and this makes sense. So if you think about how companies are in the habit of reporting information, they report an aggregate revenue line or an aggregate income statement. They don't necessarily give you the revenue that's associated with every single corporate asset. But what we were able to do here is actually look at all of the a lot of the assets that would be underlying those bonds and look at their green credentials and look at their certificates to add that assurance that these green financing instruments are really addressing what they're supposed to. We're also able to get updates, so automatically pushed through email to see if there's anything that's changing in the portfolio, and conduct further kind of monitoring and receive timely updates that way. And so I think in terms of and I should add that this level of information can also be useful when we're having those conversations with companies. So when we're conducting those engagement conversations, having this level of information can be really, we can bring that into the conversation and ask about what's happening at different assets or how different assets might feed into the company's overall targets and public commitments. So I think in terms of STACS and ESGpedia's kind of goal of building trust and integrity in ESG data, it's been a really interesting case study to work on together. So very, very happy to share it with you, and I think we'll be up on stage later for questions if there's any follow-ups. Otherwise, please feel free to catch me afterwards when Benjamin will be bartending. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Nietsch, for taking us through the application of ESGpedia in investment bond portfolio monitoring and giving us a high-level overview about Manulife's sustainable investing strategy. Next, I would like to invite Ms. Sheena Ang, Head of Client Relations and Business Development at CO2 Connect. She will be speaking first, followed by Mr. Chia Ko Wen, Head of Sustainability at Singlife with Aviva, and Mr. Alvino Kaur, Senior Manager of GI Product and Underwriting at Singlife with Aviva. Together, they will be showcasing how ESGpedia has helped to facilitate green motor insurance for EVFI's corporate fleet. Sheena, please.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for your time today. I'm Sheena, the Head of Business Development and Client Relation for CO2 Connect, in short, CO2X. So CO2X essentially is a green tech firm that helps to do carbon reporting for the transport and logistic industry. So we're actually founded by 3 local companies, Ascent, STACS, and Evercom. Ascent itself is an award-winning IoT company that focuses the solution on global supply chain, and Evercom, a data analytics platform that specializes and focuses on data reporting, decarbonization strategies, as well as energy efficiency. And for STACS, I won't do much more introduction since everyone is here, as the green FinTech firm that helps to build the MES-fronted project Greenprint ESG Registry. So with our experience and expertise, we come out with a solution within a few months, and our solution is currently in live production right now. So as shared earlier on, CO2X is actually created or formed in November 2021. And in the mere 4 months, we actually have successfully conducted and completed 6 different pilot cases with our clients with the support of the financial institutions, associations, and agencies support. So we believe that our solution helps to move clients in the transport and logistic industry towards more sustainable practices while maintaining or even improving their competitiveness. So what we bring about is improved operational efficiency. So once our clients are able to understand where their performance is, we create reports to help them identify areas of improvement. As such, they are able to reduce their carbon emission through improved practices. And it's often observed that when carbon emissions reduce through improved practices, they also observe a significant reduction in operational cost, especially the fuel consumption cost itself. Also, there's increasing requirement from the stakeholders and investors for their portfolios or for their supply chain to be more sustainable. As such, by being more sustainable through CO2X, they actually improve their reputation with their stakeholders. And of course, lastly, we generate reports for our clients that are able to go through scrutiny and also go through certain reporting to allow sustainability-linked financing or even financial supported products. So this is how it works. Our solution is very simple. So what we do is we utilize existing fleet management data, such as mileage, idling time, driver's behavior, as well as fuel or electricity consumption. We put this data through our algorithm and generate carbon reporting and set the entity baseline according to the industry standards. So our platform also produces reports that identify areas of improvement, and that will help our client to actually execute sustainable practices or plans to move towards more sustainable business operation. We have built dashboards that are very simple to understand. Our clients are able to understand at a view what is their company overall current emission, and that's set against the baseline. And we also drill down to the asset level, where individual asset or vehicles are able to understand what is the emission. Through these reports, they are now able to execute plans and improve their operation efficiency and reduce the carbon emission. Periodically, as and when the clients or corporate clients wants to know their reduction, emission reduction report or certificate can be generated. On this report itself, you'll be able to see in terms of the carbon avoided, if any, and this is calculated based on the baseline and the ongoing current emission. And this report can be utilized for certain financial application, such as loans or even insurance, and even for certification purposes, because this provides the information of the actual current performance of the corporate itself. So we believe as CO2X that we want to go through the sustainable process with our client. So once they are onboarded, we'll assess their maturity in terms of their sustainability journey and implement solutions according to their needs. We have built in 3 levels of data input mechanism, from self-disclosure, self-data input, which is manual, all the way to automated IoT data input. So this is to ensure that all stakeholders, regardless of maturity level in terms of the sustainable process, can be easily onboarded onto CO2 Connect. So recently, we have actually launched a sustainability transformation program, and it is we provide 70% support funding to ease the cost of onboarding to CO2 Connect platform. And this platform, this grant or program is supported by Enterprise Singapore. So if anyone is interested to understand more, feel free to approach me later. Yep. And finally, of course, we are very glad that we are part of the project Greenprint, working with STACS very closely to identify use cases. So our clients currently, once they are onboarded onto CO2X, their profile are automatically created onto ESGpedia upon consent. And through this partnership itself, our clients are also be able to assess our STACS ecosystem partners, either third-party verification, loans, insurance, or even carbon credit itself. And today, we have Singlife with Aviva with us today to share about this use case that we have conducted with Singlife with Aviva. Singlife with Aviva has been a very supportive partner of ours, and we have been working for the past year to identify how our solution can support their sustainability strategy. So we have here today Cohen and Elvino, who will be sharing with us more.
Hi everyone, can you hear me? Yeah, good afternoon to you. Thank you for having us today. It's been a privilege for us to come here and just share a little bit about our company and also about what we're doing in this space for sustainability. So I think as Sheena mentioned just now, it was about a year ago when I was first approached by STACS and to explore about a possibility of how we could have a use case. And in the course of doing so, we had many discussions, and of which this one on the green logistics fleet insurance, this was the one that's moved a bit ahead. But we are doing other things with them, and that will be in the works. So I thought it would be important just to share a little bit about our company, simply because some of you might have heard of Aviva, some of you might have heard of Singlife, but Singlife with Aviva, so I thought at least just spare me a few minutes to just share a bit more. So this is just a very quick look at our company, our strategy. You have heard of Aviva, you've probably heard of Singlife as well. So we are a company that was formed through a merger the beginning of this year. And through that merger itself, we have actually committed that sustainability will be one of our key pillars of our company strategy. So we are committed to a better way to sustainability. And because of that, we are committed to driving a sustainable business. And in the course of doing that, we have actually put through with our stakeholders and discussed this and felt that what's important about building a sustainable business is actually 2 or 3 key things. And today I'm just here to talk about one, right? First and foremost, obviously for us as an insurer, we have a big investment portfolio, and for that, we are committed to responsible investing. And I found the presentation just now by Manulife to be very interesting because that's also an area that we are pursuing in the area of responsible investments. The second area, obviously, is in the area of sustainable products, which is why we're here today. And essentially, when we were discussing this with CO2X, we were exploring a use case in the area of green logistics fleet insurance. And we felt that this tied in very closely to what we wanted to do as a company, which is to develop sustainable products for Singaporeans and for the industry. So you might have seen the news. We have actually launched our electric vehicle insurance last month and tried to tweak it to basically look towards the needs of what Singaporeans want. And so even with this insurance that we are working on for this use case, we are also trying to pilot something new, something different, with the use of the carbon emissions data that's coming in through the CO2 and STACS platform. We will be able to do better underwriting decisions that allow us to make the right calls when it comes to pricing of our products. So essentially, I want to just share that. I won't go into too much detail about the rest of our pillars, but certainly for Singlife with Aviva, we want to be in this space. We want to grow in the area of sustainable products. I'll just hand the time now to my colleague, who is Elvino, and he takes care of the motor insurance and underwriting portfolios for our company. Elvino?
Yeah, thank you, Cohen. Yeah, definitely echoing what Cohen just mentioned. Singlife with Aviva has always been in the space of digital innovations and creating those sustainable products for investment. And so one of the use cases that we have here is what we have done with CO2X and EB5. Okay, so Singlife with Aviva, normally we actually underwrite motor insurance on a fleet basis for those company logistic fleet vehicles. So what we've done with CO2X and EB5 is that because EB5 is already on board under this CO2X platform, we're able to kind of make use of the data that actually CO2X collect on behalf for EB5 on their vehicle telematics and commissions emissions reports. So typically in such a report itself, actually there will be a lot of data that we can actually make use of, not just on the carbon emission levels, including the distance that's been covered, the driver's behavior telematics, and number of trips, etc., etc. So this type of data is actually something that we can really make fully use of to help us to actually be able to predict the insurance risk in a more accurate level. If you all know that insurance is really all about how we are able to predict our risk in a more accurate manner. And to be able to predict our risk in a more accurate manner, typically the traditional insurance, you have all the data that you ask your client to kind of like declare on the application form, and based on what they have declared, and you make some assumptions and you price accordingly based on that. But with this solutioning, which we have not done it before previously, we are able to kind of like collect the data on a more like a passive but proactive manner, and making use of this data that they are real data, and compare it with the actual loss performance result itself. Yeah, so without this level of data, probably we just based on what we know, maybe we can price and assume the risk at probably this level. But with this data, it can probably tell us that actually the risk level is probably at this level. So in this way, we are able to kind of like, based on the credibility of the data, to actually provide certain form of rewards or incentive to the client itself, which in this case will be EV5, which we have actually started to underwrite their fleets of vehicles itself with us since late August. Yeah, so it's kind of like a ways that we can be able to predict the risk in a more accurate manner. So we're actually at this stage right now that we have started to underwrite their fleet of vehicles on an ongoing basis, and also evaluating the amount of data that we're able to collect through this platform with CO2X. It's something that definitely we felt that it will be a long process, because as you know that all this stuff data collections, it takes time to collect the data, to understand the data, and also to evaluate the data. But we believe that this will be a journey that we're happy to embark together with CO2X and EB5, or even some other partners in the like-minded situation, to be able to kind of like help us to really understand and promote ESG, and also to reward them for actually going green in this whole journey with us. Yeah. So the next slide. Yeah, with that, probably just on the closing itself, if you really like to understand more about the sustainability positions and how you can really get all these efficiencies and getting the ESG credit itself, including how to understand about how you can partner with Singlife with Aviva on this green insurance propositions, feel free to actually contact the details over here via CO2X and get connect with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheena, Mr. Chia, and Mr. Kaur, for taking us through the application of ESGpedia in green motor insurance. It's exciting to hear how granular fleet management data can enable the customization and differentiation of insurance solutions to green vehicle fleets. And with that, we've come to the end of the first half of the day, and we'll be taking a short 15-minute intermission break. Please be back and seated by 3:30 p.m. as we will start the next showcase promptly at 3:30 p.m. And feel free to help yourself to the drinks outside of the room. Washrooms are also outside as well. Thank you very much, and see you back here in 15 minutes' time.
We are in the race of our lives to reverse climate change. 8 billion people, one planet. Together, we are racing towards a greener and brighter future. A future we can achieve with sustainable finance. As Asia's leading ESG fintech, STACS propels you forward on your sustainability journey with ESGpedia, a one-stop registry of holistic ESG certifications and data, covering a wide variety of sectors and global verified sources, with the necessary fintech tools to enable effective ESG finance. And we aren't alone. Already, our rapidly expanding ecosystem has brought together companies with the same desire for sustainability. Together, we can bring forward a greener future of finance. Together, we can enhance trust in sustainable financing to safeguard our planet. As the world races towards net zero, join us to achieve your ESG goals and build a greener planet we are proud to call home.
Sustainability is at the heart of corporate strategy, both in the way Citi conducts its business and the client initiatives that we support.
Our sustainable solutions, from sustainable supply chain finance through to trade loans and agency solutions, are proven and in live operation, meeting our clients' sustainability ambitions. Our partnership with STACS and MAS is expected to amplify sustainable finance by leveraging standardized ESG data available through the ESG Registry.
One of the biggest challenges globally to accomplish this is the lack of high-quality ESG data, which is needed, for instance, to take well-informed decisions on capital allocations or measure impact. This is precisely where the MAS Greenprint project kicks in, as it tackles this ESG data challenge head-on by piloting digital platforms that harness innovation and technology.
There are currently plans to take this initiative further by storing information collected on a central data depository called Project Greenprint. This marks a step in the right direction to drive greater efficiencies in data collection, accessibility, and quality, factors that are key to enabling better decision-making.
We have also forged industry partnerships on platforms with similar goals, such as the Greenprint ESG Registry, which will provide us with a single point of access on both ESG data and certifications across different sectors.
As a founding member of ESGTradex, contributing to Singapore's development of a secure digital supply chain ecosystem, Standard Chartered sustainable finance framework and innovation expertise will strongly support Project Greenprint's goals of leveraging quality data and promote green finance.
Finance is an inherently mathematical and quantitative field, while sustainability was until recently mostly driven by ethical and qualitative value. Data is the bridge bringing both together, but today this bridge has several weak pillars: availability of data, quality, consistency, transparency, and so on. By creating a single registry fed by numerous sources, Project Greenprint is addressing directly these challenges.
As a leader in sustainable finance, we believe that access to verifiable and comparable ESG data is fundamental to grow the sustainable finance market in an incredible manner. Project Greenprint is a great initiative as it provides connectivity of platforms that enhance the credibility of ESG data.
Project Greenprint is an important platform to the ESG cause as it blends sustainability with technology and facilitate the automation of the ESG data value chain.
We are collaborating with a diverse range of stakeholders globally to support the transition to a more sustainable economy, while stressing accountability and transparency through our Carbon Compass methodology and regular reporting on our progress.
Such use of technology under Project Greenprint will enhance data availability, quality, and comparability. Companies can then do more and communicate more clearly their ESG impact.
Welcome back, everyone. We will now commence the second half of the day with Mr. Daniel Low, co-founder of GreenON. Mr. Low will be speaking about how GreenON and ESGpedia come together to provide greater traceability and sustainability data to agriculture financing use cases. Mr. Low, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back. Yeah, I'm Daniel Low, co-founder of GreenON. And before I proceed further, I would like to thank STACS for the invitation to share this afternoon, and also to show my appreciation to MAS for their support in development of this GreenON platform. Right. GreenON is actually birthed out of the pressing need to address sustainability issues in the agri-food supply chain, especially in the palm oil industry, where deforestation is a global concern. Now, we designed and developed GreenON, hoping to provide solutions to these three key challenges that we've identified. And we feel that these three challenges are not just for the agri-food supply chain, but they also apply across industries. Now, first, there are many frameworks and questionnaires out there for regulatory sustainability disclosures and reporting. And these frameworks are often very complicated, even for corporates and financial institutions to adopt, adapt, and implement, and needless to say, for our SMEs. So we also face an issue of reusability of data in the sense that a lot of requirements from different stakeholders for reports and in different formats, but data may be needed for the same data may be needed for different reports. So how do you manage and reuse this data easily? So this is a second challenge. And the last, which probably is the most difficult one or most challenging one, is that the International Sustainability Standards Board has just included Scope 3 emissions in company disclosure for larger corporates. So this means that, collecting data along the value chain is already that is within your control is already a challenge. So now they're actually extending it to entities that are beyond your direct control. So this is really a challenge. So when we design this GreenON, we hope to address these three issues. So we want to bring flexibility in supporting different frameworks and data models. And we want data to be reusable easily, and the collection of data from stakeholders along the supply chain to be efficient. Now, from our experience in the agri-food supply chain financing projects in Indonesia, many corporates have put a lot of efforts in trying to improve the supply chain visibility and to help upstream stakeholders to transition from brown to maybe less brown and then eventually to green. And a lot of data have been collected in pilot projects all over Indonesia, especially in the palm oil industry. And this data can be manually written on papers or captured in Excel spreadsheets or on different digital platforms. And from all this data that have been collected, we need actually an efficient way to filter and collate material sustainability data to more meaningfully and hopefully more accurately measure, monitor, and report sustainability efforts so that projects can proceed to scale through sponsorship or financing, rather than remaining as pilot projects. Now, I'll show you some videos later on the key features of GreenON that enable this. Now, GreenON also works with partners to enable carbon offset, which we hope will be the last resort for all of us in our journey towards net zero. Now, the template builder in GreenON is a flexible tool that empowers its user in designing, building, and implementing data models to collect and organize data for different reporting purposes, to monitor project progress, and eventually to publish the good outcome in STACS ESG Registry. So likewise, ESG data collected by these templates, like the RSPO certificates for palm oil, can be verified against the data in ESGpedia. So with transparent, verifiable, auditable, and explainable data collated over a period of time, these projects can then be considered for sponsorship and financing. Now, instead of going through the details on this slide, I will jump straight to the video so that you can have a better visual appreciation of the template builder in GreenON. Now, before I start the video, basically, imagine that the template is like a form. So it consists of categories, and within categories, sections, and within sections, the data elements. So once you've created a template, you can store it in your library, and then as the project requires, you make use of these templates to collect data, to monitor progress. Right? So this is where you get to the template library, which I've created 5 templates altogether. And this is how the template has been created. You create the category, the sections, and then the matrix within that section. And you can preview a template. So this is a template that you can use immediately to capture data. And with that, you can assign the templates to projects and start collecting data. Right? So you can add data directly through the template or upload data using a CSV file. And these are the data that we've uploaded using a CSV file for a client. And you can even edit the data using the template. Right. The next thing is a project builder. So we actually collaborate with Musimas on the project to monitor the financial literacy program. So basically, they started training the farmers on financial literacy. They also conducted other courses and also prepared the farmers for RSPO certification. So basically, what Musimas did was they created a template, a mill template to capture data about the mill, and a farmer template to collect data about the farmers. Right. So basically, for this program, they collected 100 farmers' data. And at the same time, they also created a template to measure progress. So not just a financial literacy program, but also RSPO certification. And they set targets to measure against their progress. So this is how it goes. So these are all template driven. You have a short description about the project. And the data that are collected includes location data. So that's why you can see the farmer data and the mill data superimposed over the map of Indonesia. And you can see the details of the mill and the farmer. And from here, you can also see that whether the farmers encroach into protected areas or they're growing on peatland. So you can view farmers' details, or you can zoom into the mill details. And this is a template that they use to measure progress. They set targets and monitor the progress. So these are the details. They set targets every 6 months and capture data, real data every 6 months. And you can see the graphical representation of the data. So most of the indicators are actually going up. So basically, it shows that they're doing a good job. And at the end, they actually meet their targets. Right. And once they are certified, RSPO certified, we can actually publish the data on ESGpedia. Yep. So when the project is ready, let's say for financing and for sponsorship, you can actually share the data privately, and you can select even the templates to share with probably a sponsor, a potential sponsor, or a potential financier like a bank. So this is like sharing with this company. Right. The next one that I want to showcase is the sponsorship builder. So once a project is monitored over time and is ready for sponsorship, you can actually use a sponsorship program template to create the sponsorship programs and create also the projects that you want to get sponsorship for. So, and at the end, you can also publish the sponsorship, the project into a public sponsorship page on GreenON and on the corporate sponsorship site as well. So this is a creation of the different programs and the different projects within this program. So this is a Malaysia projects program. So they've created 2 projects for sponsorship. And you can click to enter the data and upload the images or the files that are needed for the sponsors to view. And this is how it looks like when the projects are created. And these are the different programs and the associated projects. And these are the 2 Malaysia projects. So you can click into the details and see this is the tiger conservation project. And you can proceed to publish them onto the public site for the public to sponsor. And once it's published, it actually goes into our GreenON website. So this is our GreenON website. We click on sponsor a project. You'll see all the projects that are published here. And this is the Tiger project that we have seen just now. And Musimas also has a project that they published, which is for Train the Trainer project. And after seeing this, you find that this project is meaningful. You can actually proceed to sponsor the project, and by keying in your contact details. And once it's confirmed, email will be sent to the project owner, and the project owner will engage you to discuss about your intentions. And this is a corporate site. So basically, this page can be actually integrated with a corporate website. So whatever that I publish, it will appear in a corporate website for sponsorship. Yep. So GreenON is flexible and efficient in supporting SMEs, corporates, and financial institutions collect, monitor, and assess impact of projects for different kinds of reporting, sponsorship, and financing. Now we collaborate with STACS to verify key sustainability data and also publish project ESG data into the ESGpedia after audits and certification has been completed. Now, with our joint efforts, we built a central repository of sustainability data, and we will be able to bring more practical benefits to SMEs, corporates, and financial institutions. So where do you visit when you want to assess like sustainability data of a corporate? Basically, you visit ESGpedia, and it will provide you with a comprehensive profile, sustainability profile of the company. Yep. So with GreenON, we hope to help companies and financial institutions overcome these teething issues, which I mentioned earlier. Yep. That's the end of my presentation. If you're keen to find out more about GreenON, and if you're keen to maybe even try out the platform, just contact me. My email is dl@funon.io. Yeah, we can offer a free trial until the end of the year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Loh, for taking us through GreenON and ESGpedia. It's exciting to see how GreenON and ESGpedia are working hand in hand to enable verified sustainability data across our agricultural supply chains, and also to catalyze positive sustainability impacts with sponsorship matching and financing. Next, I would like to invite Ms. Bailing Zhang, Senior Director of Envision Digital. She will be giving an introduction on Envision Digital, and she will also speak about how better data insights lead to decarbonization and green financing for hotels. Ms. Zhang, please.
Okay, hello everyone, good afternoon. Yeah, this is Bailing. Yeah, so I'm from Envision Digital. Yeah, so maybe since today is all the friends from the financial institution, right? So probably we're the new animal in the zoo. So probably I take my next slides to quickly introduce who Envision as a group and what's the business that Envision Digital is focusing, right? So Envision as a group, we are actually a 50 years old company. So we started from wind turbine business. So currently we are the number 4 wind turbine manufacturer in the world. And our second business actually is the Envision AESC. It's an EV battery manufacturing. So this business is we acquired from Nissan that used to supply the Nissan Leafs, right? So currently we are expanding our capacity globally. So we are setting up a lot of mega factory in US, in UK to supply different OEMs. So recently, actually, we just win the battery capacity for Mercedes and BMW. And I will share the secret recipe how we can win this battle, right, in today's very severe competitions in EV battery. And the third piece is actually where I'm from. So Envision Digital, we are a 5-year-old company based in Singapore, and over the last 5 years, I would see like we grow together with the decarbonization journey, right? So we help our customers as well as the government to realize the decarbonization journey along the way. So in Singapore, a lot of government agencies as well as large corporations are our customer to use the technology to solve their challenges down the road. So essentially, our Envision Digital, we provide a platform that connect to different type of sensors, devices from upstream renewable, be it wind, be it solar, and be it hydrogen, right? So we all know yesterday, 2 days ago, our the Deputy Prime Minister also announced that Singapore is going to go big on hydrogen. So in the future, we also can connect to different type of hydrogen asset and devices. And if we look at we move across the renewable energy supply chain from supply, we also covering the grid. So we are able to connect to different type of microgrid, smart grid, and also if we move to the consumption side, we're also able to connect various type of sensor devices, name it in built environment, in public transportations, right? As well as, so connectivity is really our key strength. That's why it's also sing the same song with STACS, right? So we are becoming the partner that will help STACS to provide the E, especially the data sets in E, in a real-time manner, in a more trustable, traceable, credible. So that's also quite in line with what MAS is promoting. So all the data can be verified at the source. So in the future, when different the partners into the whole financing the ecosystem, so they can tap on the same data set to create different use cases. Right? And lastly, but not the least, is actually we also have a venture that we keep investing ourselves together with the partners. Like in Sequoia, we have a joint fund to create a new business, because we all know like the net zero down the road is going to be a lot of new business coming up, like green hydrogen, green ammonia. So we are really seeing capital can be a big lever to drive this transformation. So this is basically what we are doing right now. But in a nutshell, what we are doing is only one simple purpose, is to the net zero, and our solution is surrounding this topic. Yeah. Okay. So if we look at the digital, just now as I shared, right? So data connecting to different sensor and data is really in the heart of our business. So here is the quick STACS to showcase the scalability that the platform can manage right now. So if we, again, the view we look at is from the upstream supply to the downstream consumption. So from supply side, you can see that currently we are connecting over 500 gigawatts renewable on this platform. That's actually give us a lot of edge to help our customer to go through the decarbonization journey, right? So this is all this renewable asset we are managing right now. But if we look at the energy downstream, so it's not about gigawatts anymore. It's about the volume and the different type of asset we are connecting. So this is the over 200 million sensors and devices is currently the platform is able to orchestrate. So by combining the upstream and the downstream together, that's where our product line can help the customer to really embark the decarbonization journey. So that's where we have renewable solutions that helping the large corporations who want to go green to especially for large corporations that managing traditional power generation, so they can use this asset to improve their asset performance. And also, we also have city infra product line that's mainly help the like buildings, transportations, and other sectors to improve their operational efficiency, to solve their energy balancing challenges. Right, and lastly, another one is our carbon management. And just now, I think we also see a lot of people, a lot of our friends are sharing their carbon management solution. But the way we look at it is we really feel like moving in the future, so carbon management is not about reporting only, but also how we can use more granular data to generate actionable insights to move their decarbonization journey. Right, so this is basically who we are. So we always say our single mission is using digital solution to drive the decarbonization. So it's like D4D. So this is what we are doing. Sorry. Okay, so this one actually is a quick recap that what we are seeing in the whole the green movement from Singapore perspective, right? So we all know in the last 10 years, Singapore has been very successful in driving Smart Nation program, and it's being a living lab. It's really the global best practices, and we really believe in the next 5 years and 10 years, so green is definitely be the topic, right? And also the government has announced this green plan 2 years ago. And now we are seeing the industry is really moving after the green plan has been announced, especially I think in the also the DPM also announced that the Singaporeans want to be more ambitious in terms of carbon reduction, right? So we can see that a lot of very tangible or specific target has been put in different industries, especially in built environment in Singapore, that this 80-80-80 rules. That's why we are seeing the industry is really moving and the market demand is really picking up. So the next one we are seeing after the whole, the nationwide objectives has been set. So what the industry is moving towards. So this is our observations of the industry direction that is moving. So the first one, as I shared, so the industry is really moving from monitoring, from reporting to actively monitor, right? And also, I think a lot of our friends in the banks and the financial institution also sharing. In the previous one, the sustainability-linked loan, the green loan. So only one reporting data at year end may not be good enough for them to make their decisions. And also from the customer's point of view, only supplying one single, KPI, high-level KPI to manage their ESG overall performance is also not good enough for them to drive to the next step, because we all know net zero actually is a journey down the road for decades. So with all the historic, very accurate, granular, more frequent data set can really help them to set the baseline and understand where they are right now and moving forward how they can gradually achieve their carbon reduction target. So that's why the number one movement we are seeing is the industry is really moving from passively reporting to proactively monitoring, right? So this is the first one. And the second one is about to offset to tangible reduction. I think this is also very much in line with what the whole Singapore as a nation to promote. Because when we talk about buying REC, do carbon credit, a lot of the reaction from the customer is saying, okay, I know I can do that, but what we want to do is we want to really have tangible solution to reduce my carbon emission, no matter from the supply side. Maybe can you give me more green electricity? The green electrons flow from the grid. That's why we are seeing the whole nationwide put a lot of emphasis by importing green electricity from the neighborhood. Or can you deploy solutions that can help me to tangibly reduce my carbon emission? Maybe let's say I'm in a building, can you optimize my lighting, optimize my chillers, optimize all my equipment, and things like that. So I think the Singapore way, we take a very practical approach to really look for solutions to reduce the carbon emissions. I think that's also what we are, our solution put a lot of emphasis on. And lastly, actually, that what we are also looking at the industry moving from consume to connect, or put another word, from consume to presume. Yeah, because we all know that in the future, whenever your facility that is okay, commercial viable to have rooftop solar, they will be equipped with rooftop solar, right? And with the EV charging upcoming, so your EV charging will totally changing the way you consume your energy. So the old energy chain is really changing because the distributed energy resources are deploying more and more into the whole network. That's why we are seeing that connecting the devices are becoming more and more important than before, right? That's why a lot of the EMA and also government agency, they are promoting to say, okay, can we using the smart grid solutions or even virtual power plant to help the whole grid to to improve the grid stability and also make sure the green electricity become more affordable, more reliable, and so the customer can starting from there, right? So from all these challenges, we are seeing that really, underlying still, I want to get back to the sense of it is really the data is the key for all the future solution to be built on top. Okay. So so coming back to this, as I just shared, we value a lot on the data availability and on the device connectivity. So that's why actually our underlying is an IoT platform. And of course, on top of IoT, we plug in a lot of AI and machine learning algorithm and solving all the problem statement as I just shared. So we produce like energy efficiency algorithm, and also we supply different smart grid and virtual power plant algorithm to solve the industry players from the generation side all the way to the city infrastructure side. So this is the three offerings that we are supplying. So okay. So moving forward, I probably contextualize a little bit on today's topic, right? Why net zero is so important for financial institutions. So if we look at a typical financial institutions, their carbon emission, actually majority is from their investment portfolio, right? So that's why a lot of like financial institutions, when they want to claim their net zero target, actually they're becoming very cautious and very concerned, because they know that they can only control 10%. That's where they consume by themselves, maybe their own facilities, their operation. But majority of them, 90%, is actually on their investment and how they can balance from currently the P&L to the future. Right? Like MAS also promoting a lot that the financial institutions actually need to play a very important role to do the transition financing. So they need to help them to how to decarbonize the current business to the future, to greenize the current industries. So that's a lot of the financial institutions are struggling how they can balance from their current P&L in the future sustainability target, right? So that's why currently we are actually joint hand with working with the financial institution to see, can we create some synergy together with the digital solution to create a win-win and win situation, meaning we can provide the digital solutions for the customer to really reduce their carbon emission, right? Provide a positive ROI project for them to also generate a good business case to embark their decarbonization journey with the financial support from the financial institutions, be it your sustainability loan, be it your green loan, and be it other type of like green bond, different type of financial product. And in the meantime, for Envision, our digital solution can also help them to accelerate their journey to decarbonize, right? So this is something we are collaborating together. And also, I think with the support of Singapore, like MAS is promoting the Greenprint, that's where actually accessing to the data become more much easier than ever. So this is subsequently, I'm going to share a live use case that we have already collaborating with STACS, supporting by the MAS Greenprint, and together with one of the financial institutions. Okay, so if you look at this use case, actually I also echo a lot on what just now some of the guest speakers sharing. As of today, actually the people who are most struggling on decarbonization is actually SME. Right? Because large corporations, they have capital, they have domain knowledge, and they have talent to support that. But if you are a small and medium company, and you are part of the global supply chain, or you are part of the regulated industry, you have to go green. Otherwise, you're out of business. Right? So I think SME, we also put a lot of effort to simplify our solution to make sure that all the ESG related data can be easily retrieved. That's why here actually is a hotel that's in Indonesia. So they are also kind of struggling because currently the hospitality industry are heavily promoting that you need to become a green facility in order to be qualified or welcome more and more customer that with ESG awareness in the future, right? So here actually we are putting a very cost-effective sensors, and then most importantly is non-intrusive. So we don't want to, like when you go green and you are disrupting their normal operations. So the non-intrusive sensors can be deployed and their carbon or their energy consumption data can be pulled through the system. And also, I think just now MAS also emphasized a lot, the interoperability is really the essence of any platform, right? So you have to be interop with different type of system. So here, actually by the open API of the system, we can interop like with the banks, in this case is HSBC. We can also interopt with the STACS. That's where they can put up the ESG registry, and also we can interopt with their own facility team. In the future, they can tap on the same type of data set to drive their energy efficiency program, and maybe in the future, they are also considering probably to do the offset of the residue of the carbon, right? So this is one of the, I think after embarking this solution, actually we see a lot of stickiness, a lot of more use case can be happen, right? Not only as I just shared. So we start from proactively monitoring, but tapping on the same data set, actually from the customer, they can drive their energy efficiency program and get a tangible reduction, and also in turn they reduce their operational costs, right? And also by doing so, they also improve their own bankability in front of the bank. So that's what I just shared, like the win-win and win situation we are trying to create by collaborating through the whole eco-partner. And I think I do believe that this green financing is really an ecosystem play, right? There's no single vendor that can solve all the problem. That's why we truly embrace the openness of the whole platform that makes sure all the data can be shared across the different players across the value chain, which is very much in line with what STACS is also promoting. That's why today we are very happy to be here to share our use case. I believe down the road, and maybe next year, we have more impactful use case can be shared with the group of guests. Okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Zhang, for taking us through the use case of hotel decarbonization and green financing, as well as Envision's business strategies and industry trends. With that, we will now move on to the last segment for today, which is the Q&A session with our speakers from today. May I invite the following speakers back on stage to take a seat, please? So we have Ben, Mr. Nietsch, Sheena, Mr. Lo, and Ms. Zhang, please. For our in-person audience, if you would like to ask a question, please raise your hand and a mic will be passed to you for you to ask your question. Alternatively, you may also post your question on the Slido, which will appear on the screen shortly. And for our online audience as well, please use the Slido link that has been placed in the chat box. Thank you, speakers. So I think to get the ball rolling, we already have some questions that are already available on Slido. So the first question would be, with respect to the use cases for financial institutions, especially the bond monitoring case that we have seen just now, how would the information provided in ESGpedia differ from sources like MSCI, S&P? Maybe Ben, would you like to take this question?
Thank you. Yep. So I may be speaking out of line here because I'm not actually the bond monitoring person, okay? But of course, I will answer for Eric first. In case you have anything else to add, please do add later, okay? Which is, yes, agreed that there's a lot of common data or financial data that's already being used, by investment managers when it comes to monitoring of financial products. And I don't think we're trying to replace that. Right? We are not trying to replace that, okay, but we're trying to add more sources of information. So if you saw our presentation in the beginning, okay, we're talking about how we are aggregating different types of data, number one, and secondly, okay, also importantly, other forms of data like primary data, because while, existing sources of investment or ESG investment data are typically annual or, periodically updated, okay, where we are able to aggregate them with ongoing data, okay, primary data, or companies' own self-disclosed data through their different type of channels, we are able to see, therefore, more context, okay, beyond the standardized data that is already out there. Yeah, so that's what I think is the first value prop that we could actually provide.
I agree, and I think I guess one thing is, with the focus on the verified data and the certified data, a lot of what the ESG data vendors, MSCI, S&P, and others are collecting is the company reported data. And so sometimes by pulling in these other data sets, even if it's still coming, ultimately it always comes from the company. They're disclosing to CDP, or they're disclosing to GRESB or LEED or whichever certification body. But then by bringing that in, I think sometimes it can complement it. The more timely updates is another one, as Benjamin mentioned, and then also asset level data, I suppose, can be different, because a lot of times the information gets reported at the company level rather than the asset level. And if I can just expand on that slightly, this can be a really interesting area because it can allow the potential to overlay it with geospatial data. And so a lot of times when companies are disclosing information, they don't necessarily disclose exactly where all of the operations are happening, but there's a potential, I think, through ESG-related fintech to relate that with other sources of information, maybe from satellites or from different bodies, and so that's one other kind of interesting use case, I think.
Thank you very much. And just a quick follow-up question with respect to the bond portfolio monitoring case study. Is STACS able to provide the platform data for post-issuance reporting and monitoring?
If I'm understanding the question correctly, I think the question is about whether we can provide the means to submit the regulatory reporting. Okay, or I might be wrong, but anyway, let me answer this question in two different ways. All right, so firstly, I think we can definitely partner with regulatory reporting platforms, for the entities that need to be able to submit regulatory reports. Okay, if that's about regulatory reporting, right? So that's where we are already providing data. Okay, where this data could be tailored, towards financial sector's use cases or financial sector reporting use cases. And there are some regulatory reporting companies here actually. So this is where we actually could, partner to provide them the data to disclose, or rather to report to the regulators on their financial products that they've issued. Or if the question is about monitoring, okay, whereby, yes, we do actually provide, therefore, our portfolio monitoring tool, whereby financial institution will then be able to use this data and adapt according to its own monitoring needs. And for this, I do echo what Liner said in the beginning. Okay, that was a while back, 2 hours ago. So in the beginning, Liner did mention something about, Greenprint as an objective is aimed at providing you as in financial institutions, data. Okay, and then that's where you can use it for your own adapted methodologies or frameworks or models, right? So our objective is to get as much primary data, or some people might even say raw data, okay, into the bucket, and then structure it so that you could use it for your own reporting and use cases, okay, that might have to do with your own monitoring methodology. So that's something we will already are doing.
Thank you, Ben. So before we proceed with the Slido questions, are there any questions from the in-person audience? Would anybody like to raise their hands to ask questions? If not, let's move on to the Slido questions. So the next question would be, for ESGpedia, does ESGpedia provide reports that are based on certain standards, like IFRS, ISSB? And is ESGpedia capable of detecting greenwashing? This question is from George Florin.
Yeah. So, by the way, that's also one reason why sustainability is so hard to grasp, right? So much alphabet soup. Yeah. So in any case, okay. So again, I think it's also back to my previous answer, where ESGpedia is really aimed at aggregating different data, okay, at the primary data level, right? So those data can then be used for different types of report, for different reporting standards. So all these different types of standards available out there, okay, would actually be using the data that we aggregate. We are not the one to translate it to the different reports, right? But our ecosystem of partners would do so, right? So we already have a very strong ecosystem of partners around us in Singapore, and also partnering with us as a company, as STACS, right? So there's quite a healthy ecosystem of solution providers. Many of them will be presenting with us, co-presenting with us at the FinTech Festival from Wednesday at the SFF, right? They will be in our booth actually, or rather in the Greenprint pavilion where we are part of. Okay, and that's where many of these solution providers, they are in the business of providing reporting tools to different standards and frameworks. And how we partner with them is that we provide them more data or aggregated data that they can then translate to different types of reports. So in a nutshell, yes, as an ecosystem, we can do it. Okay, I just wanted to be clear that we have partners handling that leg for you. Yeah. And the question about greenwashing, right? How does it prevent greenwashing?
How does ESGpedia prevent greenwashing?
Well, so I feel that greenwashing there's a few levels to it right now, right? So if there was intentional greenwashing, frankly, if there was intentional greenwashing and if somebody is intending to cheat an auditor, right? I think that is really all the way at the upstream, okay? If somebody is intending to commit some form of a fraud, there's nothing you can do to stop except with tighter regulations and more transparent ways to catch catch the person red-handed. So I think the second part is where technology can come in, right? So, we can try to make everything more transparent in the spirit of allowing for greater transparency, where the bad actors will find that it's not so easy when everything is transparent, when everything is comparable, when I'm saying one thing and, data is saying something else, okay? That is where, the bad actors will be disincentivized, or rather they will find that it's too difficult, to do it. Okay, so that's where, I think technology ultimately will play a role, in making or establishing greater trust in the system.
Thank you. So before we proceed with the Slido questions, anybody wants to raise their hand to ask a question live? If not, let's move on. So the next two questions are for the Singlife with Aviva use case. And the first question is, for Singlife with Aviva as the insurer, is Singlife with Aviva more interested in operation performance data rather than CO2 emission data? And for the use case, we have the representative, Sheena. Perhaps you want to try to answer this question?
I will try my best to answer on behalf of Elvino and Cohen from Singlife with Aviva. So they were saying that what was shared was that they are interested in the data available, including carbon emission, driver's behavior, and all sorts of telematics data that's available to them through CO2 platform. So they will use this as a comparison, as a base, to determine any significant impact on the loss performance. So they're not discounting any data as of now. So as many data as they can, so which can provide them with a trend on the loss of the performance versus what are the risks pertaining to what Singlife with Aviva is experiencing. So to answer your question, they want to take in as much data as possible so that they have a better understanding and comparison in terms of performance versus risk. To the second question.
10% Go Green discount.
Perhaps if the question is very specific to Singlife with Aviva, we can take it offline and we can follow it up later on.
Yeah, I think that would be better.
Yeah, okay. So to the person who asked this question, maybe you can drop your name. If you're interested for a follow-up reply from us, you can drop it on the chat box or you can approach any one of us, right? So let's move.
Publicity that, now everybody knows there's a 10% discount.
Yeah, of course. Yes, that's good. Right. Again, any live questions from the audience? If not, let's move on. How does the aggregation work on ESGpedia profile in terms of data aggregation? Is the data aggregated, is it equally weighted? And what's the rationale behind the weightage or the aggregation?
So the short answer is that we do not do any weighting because we do not do any scoring. All right, so we are not in the business of providing a rating or a scoring. Having said that, we do support other people doing that. Right? So if there's data on our platform, and if it's let's just say it's a questionnaire of data sets that your standards body or ratings company would be able to score, we would therefore be able to partner with somebody to do that scoring. Right? So for example, we are already partnered with CDP anyway. Okay, so we have CDP scores on our platform, but we are not the one doing any scoring. Right? So we will be aggregating data, okay, from disparate sources just to make it easier for usage. Because engaging with so many stakeholders over the last few months, And also this is on a regional basis. We've been engaging in many different countries already. So just this month I was in Malaysia, Thailand and Vietnam. And it's a common point where, especially in the hard industry, there's quite a lot of different data sets, that is out there, that's not captured, or it's not captured in a digital fashion, right? So what we do is to aggregate them without any weightage, just present all of the data, be it certificate, or be it existing public domain information, or be it their own E and SG sustainability report, or third-party verification, third-party ongoing technology enablers, all aggregated on a single profile where scoring providers or analysis providers will be able to make their own analysis. Yeah, and that's also something that we have already started to see. We already have third-party tech firms using our data, create some form of analytics report on behalf of their financial institutions, partners. Yeah, so I think that's what we want to promote rather than us providing a score. Yeah.
Thank you. Any live questions? If not, the next question is, how do you get reliable asset level data for use in STACS? Is it provided by the corporates, the financial institutions, or by another third party? I think, Ben, you might want to answer this question.
I think now I will start first, but I think I really want to hand over to my co-speakers, for example, Bailing and Daniel. I think there's some relevance, to your business too, right? So, exactly. To get reliable asset level data, we have to partner, with companies and also with the technology enablers. So the keyword here is reliable, right? If you are getting data directly from the company, how do you ascertain that it's reliable, short of doing a full-blown audit, right? So I think that's where having some technology partners in place, particularly leading technology partners like Envision, GreenON, and CO2X, would be able to help us get primary sources reliably. So, Bailing, do you have anything to add?
Thank you. Yeah. I feel like I'm the best person to answer this question because I think probably we're the one understand machine data the best in the room. Right? Yeah, I think that's why Ben and the approach to us initially, right? Because actually when we talk about IoT and ESG data, very instinct we say, we connect to the meter, that's where you get the basic consumption. But actually moving forward, especially for financial institutions, they actually want to get more granular data from their operational data or even on the asset level. That's why from there they can better have an evaluation on their risk and credit and things like that, right? So as of us, actually since the day one we start our business, we said we are a machine social network company. So like Facebook collect your personal data and we collect machine data. And from there we analyze based on and to generate different business case or different values. Of course, initially we do asset management, asset maintenance, that's very straightforward. And moving forward, we are doing like energy trading, and in the future, definitely the carbon trading. And thirdly, now we are partnership with the financial institution to see how we can use the same data set to support, how they get better financing support, how they get a better disclosure, how they get compliance. And this actually also link back, I would say, to the greenwashing topic. Because of today, why they are not really, a lot of people are very hesitate to announce that they're net zero target because they are so afraid of to get challenged, especially on greenwashing, right? But to provide this kind of asset level data actually gives them a lot of credibility and confidence level to say that, because all this data is not human input, right? So there's no error, to minimize error, I would say. And so with all the data generated directly from your machine, right? So that's what we are strive to achieve, yeah. Yeah. Questions? Yeah.
Yes, actually a follow-up question, because I think it's very interesting what you said in terms of collecting machine-generated data.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's very much, from my understanding, on an environmental point of view, right? Have you also thought about going more towards the social and governance space? Because I know that's also much more difficult, right? But yes. I hope I spoke loud enough for everyone. But,
loud and clear.
Yes, perfect. Well, quick Tears for Morsel SMBC. I was summarizing my question. Have you, besides the E in ESG, also thought about the S and G in terms of machine data
gathering.
We are exploring the technology, but as of today, we are primarily focusing on E. That's where actually machine data give you more insights. And for S and G, currently we are also play the partnership strategy. We are also working with industry partners.
I think from the agriculture supply chain perspective, we actually capture location data, and it can be overlaid onto the map for visibility, and you're able to verify. But I think machine or digital or technology can handle things to a certain level, but a lot of time you still need an auditor on the ground or someone to verify the data. So basically, usually, because in agriculture it involves a very large geographical area, so basically they'll do sampling and then they'll check. But technology can help you to identify which are probably the more risky ones that you can pick out and then do verification. Right. We also capture upon, let's say, a sales transaction, a purchase is made. We also capture the location of the transaction. So basically, it also indicates whether the provenance of the project of the produce is actually from the region or it came from somewhere else. So there are different ways to actually verify the data.
Thank you very much. We have a really quick question for Ben, and after that it's all for our guest speakers. So for Ben, does working with STACS on future use cases come with special subsidies or support as part of MAS Greenprint?
Yes, actually, because I think if you captured what Lionel said in the beginning, right, he was going to announce, he said something will be announced, I don't know, Wednesday or Thursday at the FinTech Fest, where, to bring you back 2 years ago, right, 2020, MAS announced Project Greenprint at the FinTech Fest. They also announced something, this is all from my personal assumption, by the way. Okay, they also announced a $50 million grant, right? So from then till now, I don't think the grant has been really utilized much. There's some usage with Greenprint already, but for sure, I think there's ample funding that will be therefore made available, and I think he's hinting that there's going to be some announcement on the FinTech Festival, and from what I understood from what he said just now, it's meant to support, the cost of solutions, okay, that will be implemented by financial institutions, okay, when working with Greenprint. So in a nutshell, I think, definitely we are also looking forward to the announcement to understand how exactly does it work, because if that means that our financial institutions, solution partners, and companies could all benefit, right, that simply means that there will be this one-time outlay of any cost will be covered with a grant, maybe 70%, I don't know, okay, but that means that it's easier to adopt this technology now, rather than wait until it's common. Okay, and I also note that Sheena mentioned about CO2X, where there is an enterprise SG grant already, same thing, 70% offset of all costs, okay, in relation to the outlay of the solution. So again, right, if this solution becomes common, right, everybody's using the solution, I don't think there's any grant for it anymore. So now is the best time, okay, where there's still this early adopter phase, okay, where there is this need that we can see happening anyway, sooner or later. Now is the best time to get started. Yep.
Thank you. All right, the next question is for Envision. In terms of scalability, how would we apply this solution with STACS into all hotels, given that the hospitality industry is rather new to sustainability?
Before I pass over to Pani, I just wanted to add one fun fact, which is something that I learned, is that the Singapore Tourism Board has come out with a hotel roadmap. They have stated explicitly that all hotels must start decarbonization tracking by 2023, which is 2 months away. Yeah.
Thank you. I was about to share the same industry changes. I think to make it scalable, I will share from two perspectives. The first one, we have to make our solution commercial viable, right? Then from the end user perspective, if they can really see it has a very good business case, no matter help them to push their business top line or help them protect their bottom line, they will naturally get embarked. So that's what actually we are really striving to work on that, to really only make our solution more cost effective, but also with the financial institutions come into the picture with the right support from financial level. That's why I think we would believe that this whole solution can be scalable. And the second one, I think, is from the industry perspective, and that's what Ben just shared. So we are seeing a lot of regulations, and also from the industry are pushing to that, not only hotel, but other sectors, like data center. For example, if now you don't hit the energy efficiency target, you are not even allowed to build the data center. I'm not sure in the future, like hotel, if you're not green enough, probably you are not allowed to build a new hotel. But we are really seeing the whole industry is pushing to this direction. So in summary, I would say the first one is from policy regulation perspective. I think we are seeing more and more pushing to the sustainable direction. The other one, from commercial perspective, we are working together to make sure it's more commercial viable for the customer to adopt. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ms. Zhang. Any live questions? If not, next question is for Daniel. Can you elaborate more on the relevance and scale of agriculture green financing in Singapore and Asia?
We all know that Singapore is not an agriculture country, so I think projects like what we are doing in Indonesia is very much more smaller in scale, and probably it takes on a different perspective. You see that because due to food security issues, Singapore is actually promoting a lot of urban farms. So you see a lot of vertical or hydroponic kind of farming taking place. So basically, there are also ways to fund these projects, but in order to fund them, what are the data that you need from these projects in order that you can consider the risks and then assess whether they are whether you can fund them. So basically, I think in Singapore, the scale will be much smaller. But in Indonesia, like when we work with the palm oil industry, they are looking a lot into replanting. And replanting is very difficult to fund because it's long dated. It's typically 10 years or more. And in the initial few years, you won't have any harvest at all. So basically, you need a digital system to capture and to monitor what's happening on the ground. Yeah, so basically, that's what we are doing with our platform to capture the data and even to create visibility into what's exactly happening on the ground. So the insurance companies and the investors can come in to fund the project. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Loh. So just to keep the mic on you as well, because you have another question. In terms of sustainability reporting, would GreenON be able to assist in other industries, not just palm oil? For example, coffee, tea?
Yes, we work with different crops. In Indonesia, we are not just working in the palm oil industry. We are actually bringing financing also for corn farmers, for edamame farmers. We're looking at other crops as well. So we are actually crop agnostic. But the GreenON platform is actually not just, it can go beyond agriculture because of the flexibility of the template builder. You can actually create different templates that is required or that can be customized for different industries.
Thank you very much. Okay, next question. I believe it's quite difficult to collect ESG data related to SMEs. Are there any other plans to improve comprehensiveness of such data sets?
So on the question about SME, right? So yeah, I mean, it is an existing pain point that we're trying to resolve, and it's not just us, by the way. There's a lot of initiatives and a lot of actions really being taken, to help, SMEs. I mean, the fact that we are here in PwC Singapore, I also wanted to shout out to PwC because they have these Essentials for SMEs, program for SMEs, targeted for SMEs, which is also under the Enterprise SG grant funding, where, there's a lot of activity and government drive, to help SMEs, be able to report better. Right? And therefore, as in such an environment where there are so many people or so many initiatives or activities aimed at improving SME disclosure, we are already starting to see this opportunity, where they would benefit from an easier disclosure format. Yeah. Okay. So today we have GCNS here also. So our company is SME definitely. So our company has also started to perform the GCNS low carbon SG disclosure, right? So that's one another example of the many programs out there. Okay, and as a platform, what we intend to do is therefore be able to have multiple, channels of different type of SME reporting. Okay, where we see the opportunity of a company reporting for a framework would actually help this company in reporting for any other framework to be able to therefore, get a certain disclosure badge or certificate, depending on circumstance. Yeah, so I think that's the only way where we're able to help SMEs when there's technology after having this incentive or this desire by the ecosystem.
Thank you very much, Ben. Okay, in the interest of time, we'll take one or two more questions. We have one from the audience.
Yes, well, I saw Eric wanted to say something, but I have a question for you actually as well. So, because I thought it was very interesting when you shared your holistic approach for Asia with the six levers, if I'm correct. In terms of using the ESGpedia data, right? Are you using that for each of those 6 specific levers, or is there one or two that you're focusing on? Could you give a bit more on-the-ground insight on how you use that data? Thanks.
Sure. So in terms of I think with the case study really focusing on the labeled bonds piece, the green bonds case study, but in terms of the other kind of methodologies or approaches that we apply on the ESG integration, we could be looking, at companies' ESG metrics. So one example for that could be we don't use we don't tend to drive our portfolios with third-party ESG ratings. We prefer to kind of come up with our own view, but we do find them useful and interesting to look at. So, one example for that could be the CDP scores. So we would look at the CDP scores, which could be on the company's profiles, and we could think about what's scoring well, what's scoring poorly, do we agree with that, what does that mean for our investment, and so we would incorporate that into the ESG integration. And then even though I was talking about the due diligence of the green bonds and the labeled bonds, that there's also an overlap between the piece there that's looking at the stewardship. So that could inform the stewardship conversations that we're having, after we've invested in those instruments or when we're considering making that investment. So I think there's a variety of ways.
Thank you very much. And there's one more question for you as well. What's the scalability of the Manulife collaboration with STACS to the asset management industry?
I think it's scalable. I think the case study that we did was intended to illustrate something that could really be done by anyone, by any asset manager, and then I think there's other case studies that we looked at. Palm oil was one area that we considered looking. Could we pull the RSPO or ISPO certificates and run a pilot program with those. And so, I think this particular case study is quite scalable, and I think that there's probably others potentially also.
Thank you very much. And in the interest of time, I think we have to close the Q&A session for now. But there's 2 remaining questions. How can we get on board and try out ESGpedia? Come talk to us or drop a message with us. That's a short answer. And for the Manulife question, maybe you can approach Mr. Nietsch after this. So thank you very much, speakers, and you may return to your seats. And I'll just close off the event for now. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of the Greenprint Registry Showcase, brought to you by STACS and our official event partners, PwC Singapore and Singapore FinTech Association. And through the showcases, we hope you've gained some insight about ESGpedia and how it's already in place and empowering multiple sectors towards sustainability and net zero. And to all in-person attendees, we will now commence the networking session. And to all who are joining us virtually, thank you for being part of this event. To the attendees who signed up for day 2 as well, we look forward to meeting you again tomorrow, and have a good evening, everyone. Thank you.